Connecting bridge to PulseChain.
Contracts to bridge your assets and make a gain. APR so high, so juicy. For the look like Gary Busey. EMP be flossing, tossing. 3650 we secret saucing.
Bridge, PulseChain, bridge, BSC. Transaction status success. 69 block confirmations. 420 UTC.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to EMP Money. My name is AJ, I am the team lead here, and this is our live AMA. We come to you every Monday and Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. We have a jam-packed episode today, as usual. They've been increasingly longer and longer. We're trying to keep them to about an hour, but the last few have gone 2 hours. So just bear with us. Lots of updates. Again, you're more than welcome to listen to the recording as well, maybe even on 2x speed to make good use of your time. But lots of info coming, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the most and fellow team member, LA, how are you?
Oh, hello. What's up, everyone?
Awesome. Yes, LA. We're going to jump right into it again, trying to make the best use of our time here. Tons of updates. The main topic today will be our final countdown of the Treasury Bond NFTs. And we even have a special guest with us again to elaborate. And I'm going to bring him on first, I think, before we really get into the meat and potatoes of all this. Bear with me 1 second. Let me unmute. Oh, awesome. He is. Brian, are you there, brother? Can you hear me? Oh, I think you have to unmute, brother. You should be good to go.
There you go.
Hey, there he is.
I muted the wrong mic. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, brother, loud and clear. How are you, man?
Doing great, man. Yeah, actually, had late night trading, so got up 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less than that. So all rested up now and excited for this call, man.
Yeah, no doubt, brother. So I gave everybody a little bit of heads up. Obviously, we've had you on the AMA when we first launched, but and it's funny you said you just got up. I was saying on the last AMA that you like to trade the Chinese and Asian markets. So I know your schedule is a little bit different, and you were just out at the F1 races with Crypto.com. So I know you've been really busy, brother. But again, I just want to bring you on real quick and just go over a high-level overview of you, who you are, what TradeYield is, and then just a base recap on, what we've been doing together over the last 8 months. So yeah, man, go ahead.
Awesome, brother. No, I appreciate you having me on the call, and great to have everybody here. So as AJ mentioned, obviously he's broken down the new Treasury bond for you guys already, but I'm the sort of the guy behind the scenes, and I like to be the guy behind the scenes and get to do what I love, which is trading. And so I haven't been trading. I haven't been doing this all my life. I actually got into it just over a year ago, which is a pretty short time frame to kind of hit the results, that I have personally, and that, AJ and I and my other partners have hit collectively simply through trading. Previous to that, I actually owned, a couple different companies, social media marketing company and educational development company, which actually is what got me involved in DeFi in the first place, and made the introduction to AJ, as one of my business partners was in the DeFi space at that time, and we launched a mastermind course. I think it was already 2 years ago, which is just crazy to think about. Had a very, very successful run with that, and EMP was the first project that we actually had brought into the community. My partner at the time had found the project, introduced me to AJ, and that was the first project I've gotten involved in and have been involved in ever since. And since that time, AJ and I have, we built quite a close relationship straight from the beginning. I mean, we were jumping on calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. So, I can't, tell you how much respect that, time and commitment AJ's put into, EMP, since, the day it launched. It still shares that same, sentiment today. But over that time, we had built a relationship, from investing in EMP. We had the mastermind at the time. Actually started a little DeFi fund and raised some good capital for that, and brought a couple hedge fund partners in while the DeFi space was going to the upside with the market. But of course, we hit that market downturn. I think it was March, April last year, and a lot of just DeFi on its own and the crypto market took a bit of a hit at that time, and things just started to slow down because we didn't have that new money and new liquidity coming in, and we were just going through a typical cycle of market lows. But at that time, my partner was supposed to be trading, be the trader and be trading crypto. I hadn't actually traded previous to that at all, but he'd always send me all these great market signals and tell me how they're always winners. But I was like, well, if they're winners, then why aren't you trading these things? Because it was great because I saw the opportunity where you could, trade both sides of the market, just taking long positions or short positions, and you could actually profit, regardless of what the market, cycle was in or sentiment was in at the time. And, that just, for me anyways, as business owner in the past and having some, pretty successful companies, I saw the value in that where, even growing up in a small business, with my father, when, market went down, the business revenue went down, and there was really nothing you could really do about it. And for me, the model itself, I just figured if I could figure this out, I couldn't imagine the potential of being able to, profit in any market conditions and be able to continuously generate revenue, not only for myself, but, I've always had a goal of starting a fund and being able to help others with that fund. And for me, it was, more of a, far-fetched dream at that time because I knew nothing about trading, what went into it. I had no idea what candlestick patterns were, that there were even indicators. I knew nothing. I had no idea what chart patterns were at the time. I thought you just, kind of bought and, sold assets, and never had gotten into the stock trading, never had any interest in the stock market. Still don't to this day, have no interest in trading it. But it was just one day in October, my partner at the time sent me, the last signal where eventually I said, hey, if you're not going to trade this, I'm just going to jump into it and give it a shot. So I set up an account on Bybit, and at the time just threw, 10,000 from the fund in it, which is a lot to start on. And again, I had no idea what I was doing, and, popped into Bybit, saw TradingView, saw there was these things called indicators at the top, and did some research on them and just Googled, top 3 indicators to use. And, that was what really started my journey. And, for those who have traded, I basically just used a MACD RSI and a stochastic RSI and a super trend, and that was it. And so from October 17th, I believe, was the first day, 17th to 19th was the first day I actually placed my first trade. Started to see some wins, and that trade that he sent me actually worked out. But I started to see, patterns in the market at the time, and I was trading in a very short-term time frame, just on 1-minute charts. But I was like, hey, if you can, kind of predict these patterns and figure out the patterns in the chart, then, this actually seems pretty easy. Well, over the next 21 days, I actually had loaded up the account to about 100,000, and I turned 100,000 into $951,000. So had about 951% month in, basically the first 30 days trading. Again, never trading before, but again, having experience previously in businesses, I know that you can always have that beginner's luck, I should say, where things just seem like they're going great off the start. Business is doing very well. You have customers coming through your door. Everybody's excited, and then all of a sudden, the customers stop. And so for me, I knew that we were in a sort of a downward cycle in the market. I was actually taking short positions on the market at that time, and I only took short positions on it. And I knew it was just one market cycle where we were in that I was trading, and I knew that, any point of reversal in this, and I had no idea how to spot it. I didn't even know how to, pick proper levels to, set take profits and stop losses when I do use them. And I was basically just click trading. I was just click trading into a trade, and then as soon as I hit a certain amount of profit or it looked good, I'd get out of the trade. And my best day during that period last year was on my birthday, actually, November 7th. And I did $265,000 in profit in one day when the market, really took a dump. And over the next 48 hours, I think I did a combined $315,000 in profit during that period. So did very well at that time. And of course, that for a lot of people, even myself at that time, I was like, well, I'm really good at this. But that market cycle, we bottomed out, and market does need to take relief, regardless in shorter, longer cycles. And I was stuck in a trade, and market went up, and I got hit, and I got liquidated for a decent amount. It wasn't cringe. At that time, it was cringeworthy to me, but I got liquidated for about $300,000 at the time. So I was still up a significant amount. So I was like, great, took the hit, good learning lesson. But it also signified to me that, hey, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I had no idea from a technical standpoint. I had no idea from a market analytics standpoint. I've always been good at market analysis, especially when it comes to patterns and cycles. It's not saying that I haven't been involved in the markets. I've been heavily involved in all markets for years. It's something that I do enjoy being involved in, but on the trading side, just had no experience with that. So I actually took majority of that. I took basically $600,000 after that initial hit, and I said, hey, I went to my partner, I said, I want to put this back into trading, and with the expectation of loss. And at first he was like, what do you mean? Like, why would we want to lose this? And I said, you know what, if I can figure this out, we've had great success up to this point. I think I had 98% win rate or something like that over that month. I said, all I need to do is, figure this out to the point where if we can maintain, these results consistently month after month, even if it takes us, 6 months or a year to get there, and, however much money it takes, then, wouldn't it be worth it 5 to 10 years from now if you're, earning, this kind of monthly return, on a monthly basis in a very short period of time. And he was all for it, jumped on board. And I literally spent the next, I guess it was October, November, December, 5 to 6 months, literally 15 hours, 16 hours a day in front of the computer. And AJ will tell you now, that's the reason why I'm up till 3, 4, sometimes 5 o'clock in the morning. I got to bed this morning at 7 o'clock and woke up at 2 p.m. And it's just because I have a passion, for trading in the markets. I love watching charts. But I would sit there day in and day out and just watch charts, test strategies. And all I was trying to do is find a very small segment in the charts itself, in the markets, that if I could, crack that code and just basically exploit a very small segment of the chart and do that, sustainably and minimize risk and do it somewhat predictably, then, I felt like I could achieve those, results or repeat those results over and over again, while greatly reducing the risk of loss. And, it took me about 5 months to get there. I actually put in about 800,000, I think, in total, going through ups and downs. Again, I was with the intention of loss. So I wasn't sitting there saying I need to win trades. I was actually intentionally losing trades at times, just to be able to learn, how charts react and testing different. I don't know how many thousands of strategies I tested and went through, how many, courses I went through and everything else, just to find 1 or 2 golden nuggets from all of it to be able to construct my own strategy. And it was funny because one of the courses I had initially bought was a guy that I really liked to follow. He was entertaining. You know, he had some great trading results. But at the same time, when I went through his course in the intro, the first thing he said is, "Oh, if you're a day trader, you know, don't expect to make any more than $1 to $2 million a year, and $2 million on the high end, you know, are like pro traders, and even that's an anomaly to be able to do that day trading." And so that kind of confused me because I had, you know, done close to $1 million my first 30 days with not knowing anything. So, you know, that really made me to look to a different side of things, because you know, every time I went on YouTube, everybody would be using this 2-to-1 strategy, you know, 2% take profit, 1% stop loss strategy, or, you know, 3 to 5, whatever it was on those videos. Very short stop losses, and same sentiment though, was that, hey, like, you know, day traders can make a max of $1 million a year. And a lot of these guys, you come to find out that, you know, they actually don't make their money trading. A lot of them have a couple wins. They make $1,000 win here, $3,000, you know, win here, and they use that to market themselves over and over, and they make the majority of their cash and money from, you know, selling their courses or programs. And that's what I recognized with, you know, this guy I've been following for so long, that, you know, he only makes maybe like 300,000 a year trading, which isn't bad at all, 200,000 to 300,000, but he makes another $2 million a year from using the results from that to sell his courses, and doesn't trade, you know, 24/7 and full time. And for me, it's if you're a full-time trader, you love what you do. I mean, it'd be very hard for me. I'm actually trying to work on it and put something together to create a course and be able to dedicate the time for it, because even to this day, I spend at least 8 to 12 hours a day sitting in front of charts. Again, because I haven't lost that mentality, you know, from day one, where I'm consistently learning. I still don't consider myself an expert by any means when it comes to trading, even though, you know, we have a very, very good track record of results. And you know, the biggest thing, and for those of you who do trade now or have traded in the past, I mean, the biggest thing when trading is the second you think you know it all, and the second you think that you're right, is usually the trade that you jump into when you're wrong. And, you know, I've had it happen to myself, where, you know, it's almost an ego check, where it's like, hey, you can't, you know, be coming into this thinking that, you know, you're right and that you know everything and that you're this great trader, when in fact, like, you know, when you come into the charts every day, especially for myself, I mean, you really have to take a beginner's mindset to all of it, and go back to stage one and start learning, you know, from scratch every single day, because, you know, things are constantly changing. But, you know, from all of that, over that 6 month period, you know, I finally cracked the code, and you know, all the funds that we had kind of, I would say, invested into the trading education at the time, I recouped majority of that back within the next month and a half later. We recouped all of it back within, I think, a 90-day period, but started building a very consistent track record of success. At that time, we still had more market volume. I mean, market volume, we've seen some action in the last week. We had that massive run on Bitcoin. Still don't think that's a indication of that we're heading into a bull market just yet. A lot of people are on the bull market train, but you know, we're starting to get more action now. But earlier this year, I mean, I was still, you know, I was averaging around anywhere from 230% to about 336% a month, with the high of like 438% returns in a single month in March. And since that time, market volume and volatility has died down, and you know, we are seeing cycles, short-term cycles, take a bit longer to play out. But that was the time when I had those results, when I you know, started to see some sustainability, had a consistent track record, is when, you know, I had reached out to AJ, because we had talked about, you know, doing something on the trading side previously, but reached out to AJ and said, hey, you know, now I feel comfortable that, you know, I have, you know, we've put together something here that I would feel comfortable to, you know, an extent to take on, you know, a certain amount of funds if we want to go, you know, raise them initially to do a test run for TradeYield. And so that was sort of the birth of a TradeYield. And TradeYield for me is been sort of that, you know, baby that, you know, I've been growing, and it's based off of a big, you know, vision I've had for a long time, where it's basically, you know, my goal to be able to take the skill set that, you know, I've been able to acquire and have, you know, educated myself on and had success with, and be able to deliver that back to, people, within, the DeFi space, especially in the DeFi space, because I've been in so many, I'm sure you guys have too, I've been in so many different, trading bots, trading opportunities, DeFi protocols, all of them, to find out that, they're not actually trading your funds, or trading itself. Sorry, they're not actually trading your funds to produce the returns. They're actually just paying you with more new investment money coming in, to the point where eventually, when that runs out, then the people at the bottom end up losing out, and typically losing out a significant amount, and you get rug pulls and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to bring some legitimacy to the space on that side, and AJ, for me, I mean, he's one of the most authentic people I've ever met. I mean, EMP itself, I mean that stands on its own. In my perspective, in the DeFi space, to be able to have weathered, the markets. I mean, just the innovation and the continuous innovation and the work that AJ and his team have put into it, and the commitment on his end. I mean, since day one from EMP, stands out above the rest. And for me, I was really hoping to bring, something to the space itself that provided some legitimacy, transparency, and actually doing what we said, doing what we, say we're going to do. And so AJ and I launched, basically the trial run with TradeYield back, I think it was end of May. And, we raised an initial, I believe, $500,000 from, some VIPs in his circle. And I had a couple investors come in from my side of things. And, we ran that for 90 days. And we had a very successful track run within that 90-day period. I think we finished off at about 87.3% return. I know it's a significant difference from, when I was trading in the previous months, having those 200, 300% months, but that's because I dialed back the risk as well, because we only had to hit a certain benchmark. And, especially trading other people's funds, you don't want to, you don't want to push those thresholds, and you want to give a gap for, any, anomalies in the market. And there are some. I mean, there are times where, we do take, losses, but the recoverable losses, just based on how we structured everything. And actually, before the 90 days, I forgot to cover that, AJ had actually put in $50,000 of his own money before we actually raised, any money from the outside. And, we wanted to prove the concept, and I wanted to prove myself to him. And, we doubled his funds in about a 21-day period, at that time. But, after the 90-day period commenced, we, circled back around, and we said, okay, this is great. We finished that initial sort of trial period with our initial VIPs. And, thank you to all you guys who are even on this call, who have supported us since day one. It's been an amazing ride. Everybody's got paid out on time. We've never had any issues on the liquidity side. Trades and the trade performance and fund performance, is typically, displayed to the group on a weekly basis. We do reports, like actual monthly reporting at the end of each monthly period, which breaks down everything within the fund, from fund balance to insurance fund to the fund performance over the last 30-day period, returns and P&Ls on the trades, trade journals, everything. So I'm very transparent about all of it, because I want you guys to be able to see the inside of what I do as clearly as I see it, and have that transparency within the community as well. After that, we decided to launch a 12-month program after the 90 days was complete. But, shortly after, AJ and I had the discussion about coming to doing a NFT, launch with a protocol. And that's always been something I've wanted to, it's been a goal of mine to be able to, have my own offer and protocol. And when AJ said, hey, maybe we could do this with EMP and roll an NFT into it, I couldn't, for me, I mean, it was, to be able to do it with AJ and be able to support EMP and still have it part of the community. I mean, that was, the best thing I could have possibly asked for. So, now here we are. Sorry, guys, I'm a little raspy, but, we're now rolling out the NFT launch. And I think it's actually gone pretty successful up to this point, AJ. And all the previous investors we've had that came in, a lot of them were part of EMP. They've all rolled into the NFTs. The great part about, TradeYield itself with EMP is, we've been able to, break off portions of the additional profits on the fixed returns that we were paying out initially, and support EMP and put it back into the community. And yeah, so I mean, moving forward, and this NFT treasury bond is basically going to be the main driver for TradeYield. And so we have this initial launch that we're rolling out. I think we have a couple more days till it closes, and believe we go active November 1st. But this will be the first basically opportunity for people to get involved. And, once we, close the doors on this, then who's ever part of it will be part of that, again, original group to be a part of the, new NFT, treasury bond. And so for me, I'm very excited for it. We're all set up, ready to go on the trading side. I'll be active. I'm active in the groups. And if, you guys have any questions too, who are being a part of this, deciding to join and come aboard the treasury bond, I'll be there active to constantly give updates and answer questions. Again, like I said, we're fully transparent on everything. If you guys have any questions too after this, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I do have time tonight. I know I was a little rushed when I was taking this call at F1, but yeah, man, if I missed anything,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to cover.
No, brother.
It's funny going back and covering everything that we went through, last few months, but hopefully I'm covering everything here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, that was great, Brian. Again, I want to make sure, and just listening to you talk for the last, half an hour, you guys obviously can see that this is legit. We're as transparent as we possibly can be. Brian has been more than forthcoming, from literally day one, and I would have never, ever gotten involved, in some sort of, and Brian even brought it up, we get 1,000 proposals a day for these, trading bot platforms or, algorithmic traders, whether they're bots or not, and they end up being either pure Ponzi's or flat out, rugs. And so we did the due diligence, like Brian said, the timeline, started with my funds, then we brought on some treasury funds, then we brought on the VIPs. Like, we did this in a very methodical way, to have, as much of a track record of success as we could, moving forward. So yeah, I think that was a great overview, Brian. I'd like to go into a little bit more detail now. If you can hang out for at least a little longer, and if we have any other questions, that I don't cover, I'd love to have you chime in as we go. So are you good to hang out? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be on the call. And one thing I didn't cover was that we've been institutionally trading now for the last few months. So we have a full institutional setup on buybitcrypto.com. Just launching a new institutional partnership with OKX. And so how that benefits you guys too is we get the lowest fee structures, actually have negative fee structure on crypto.com. We have private APIs and private servers. So that gives us the ability to have fastest, highest response rates, lowest latency APIs, which makes a huge difference when trading. And then we also partnered with CoinRoutes about 3 months ago, and they are a tier 1 institutional algorithm, again with private servers and APIs. So that gives us the ability to front run the market. It's institutional against retail. We have the house advantage, and so when you click to make a trade, and let's say you just click to enter a long position on that trade, if I'm set up to build a position, to the upside, then our bot and algorithm, well, it's not a bot, but the algorithm will come in and it will actually place the trade before your trade even executes, just because of the ability we have on our end. So, I'm sitting here in my office. I've got 6 huge screens sitting around me right now, but, my office is basically, equal to that of a tier 1 institutional trading room. And all those guys, whether you think it's teams of traders and these rooms packed full of people on Wall Street, it's actually not. I mean, majority of these big, tier 1 institutions, they have warehouses full of servers, using the same algorithms that we are. And just on that, the CoinRoutes, they were the first ones to develop an institutional trading algorithm in the early 2000s, and then got into the digital asset space in 2019, and have been done 6 billion transactions their first year and growing 60% year after year after that, because they service the tier 1 institutions. But just wanted to throw that in there quickly, AJ, just on the institutional side.
Yeah, no doubt,
But yeah,
Brian. Yeah.
I'll be around for the rest of the call. So again, if you need me to come out or anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Awesome. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please make sure you type it in the live chat. Again, I'm going to get a little more overview of the bonds. And then, one more thing, Brian, before we switch gears and I go more into the overview, can you just talk real quick about, the infrastructure on your side being BVI and not beholden to, typical SEC laws, and the fact that, you are legitimate, like you have actual paperwork, as an institutional trader. I think that just adds a little bit more validity for sure.
Oh yes, no, I think that's probably one of the most important factors, especially for anybody that resides in the U.S. and even Canada and Australia and partly in the United Kingdom now. Just due to the, I guess, unclear regulatory laws around cryptocurrency and the taxation laws. It's just a mess if you wanted to trade, even just in the United States. I personally have never had I live a permanent residence in the United States, originally a Canadian citizen. Met my wife down here. We moved to Colorado when we had our daughter and, here with family. But I've never owned or opened a U.S.-based exchange just because of the complexities and the risk involved with that, especially when it comes to, tax filing on its own. But then, especially as a fund, one of the partners we had was a hedge fund, a startup hedge fund, digital asset fund, and just because they had crypto in their name, they got hit because they were under a sub account of their main FX trader for traditional markets. He trades Bitcoin futures and Ethereum futures for them because he's a large trader and they just had a sub account and they could only allocate 100,000 to that. FTC, FTC, or it was the FTC. Regardless, FCC came down on them pretty hard, and they considered them and put them in the category on the radar as a large trader, even though they were trading $100,000, like not a significant amount, and it cost them, over 100,000, just lawyer fees, headaches, everything else. And even their management company for their hedge fund got out of the crypto space and just left them hanging, and they had to, find a new company to come on board. And so, taking all that into consideration is why I never wanted to start a fund in the United States, and even now why, we're more of a lending-based protocol or lending-based, I guess, fund for TradeYield. We're not an actual hedge fund or typical fund in the United States, just so we fall outside of those categories. But with our structure right now, we set up, all our institutional accounts are set up under British Virgin Islands Corporation, again, fully registered, has a physical address in BVI. We don't have a bank account attached to it because we take in everything via crypto, which removes us from FACTA because, of course, doesn't matter if you have an offshore company. They really don't add layers of protection in terms of personal protection these days. You can't be sheltering assets or, laundering money or anything of that nature because there's a good chance you'll get caught because U.S. has relationships with majority of countries where they share, financial information, especially when it comes to bank accounts. So we have no bank account because we do not onboard. We haven't onboarded fiat through the company at this time. And then it's also structured with Bahamas Trust, which is the primary shareholder of the BVI Corp. So I'm just primary trader on the Corp. And, the trust itself is the shareholder of BVI. And the benefit of going offshore with crypto right now is that crypto is still declared property and it's not declared a financial instrument by FBAR and the federal government, especially the IRS. By DOJ, there are some gray areas in that, but when it comes down to FBAR and the IRS and taxation purposes for offshore assets, crypto is still declared property. And so if you reside in the United States, you have to declare all financial based instruments on your tax returns. When you file your tax returns, but since crypto is considered property, you do not have to declare outside of the United States. And so we have a pretty sleek structure when it comes to even repatriating funds into the United States, where we are taxed when any funds that come in, we are just taxed as basic corporate income if we, bring money into the United States and convert it to fiat or crypto, it's just taxed as typical corporate income. The other side is that it reduces the tax implications and risk on that side, because in the United States, when you file your taxes, you literally have to delineate or line item every single transaction that you make when you convert one asset to another. And sometimes, based off the algorithm and how it trades, we'll do 60,000 transactions within a 4 to 5 day period. And sometimes in less time than that if the market's really moving. So I can't imagine, filing all of that and having to go through that process. But that also leaves you open to risk on the side of the IRS as well, because the tax laws are so gray and regulation is so gray, and they want to keep it like that. So it gives them room to come in and, be able to, prosecute you for, one missed item on your tax return. So our structure is very, it's set up in a very robust but simple way. It removes any, we're not set up as a fund. We're just basically, when we raise funds, which has been specifically through crypto and primary, partnership with EMP, and why the NFT Treasury Bond is so important is that, we've basically done it based off of a loan agreement, basically a promissory note. And with the NFT, it holds a 5% yield-bearing return monthly, or 60% APY. And that's how we've built the fund and structured it up to this point, just to keep the process simple and easy, and we don't have to get into the the complex regulatory landscape of crypto at that time, or this time. So
Yeah.
that's the basic structure. Again, I have all the I sent them to you, AJ. Everything is, have all the paperwork
For sure.
for the corporation, for the Bahamas Trust, and everything else. So
Yeah,
everything
no,
set up legitimate. Have tax, a
100%.
accountant, legal, all that. So
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and that's all. I wanted to bring it up because, again, you've done all your due diligence, and, again, for everybody on the call today, that's a little bit more information than you need. Again, just knowing that the institutional accounts operate this way. And like Brian said, the beauty of the Treasury bonds is that we have structured it as an interest-bearing loan. And again, the SEC rules are there is no rules against loans, fixed interest rate, and that's another reason why we've gone with the 60% APY or APR. Again, you cannot compound these, so technically, the APY is the APR. But yeah, I think that was a great overview. So. All right, Brian, I'm going to go through a little bit more here, and then we have a few questions at the very end. Again, I appreciate all you sticking around. We have a lot to get through today, but we wanted to do one more last major deep dive with only a few hours left on the NFT. So, all right, tomorrow is the last official day. Again, I would go by the countdown on your screen. It should update based on wherever you are in the world. It is a little bit less than 24 hours. So again, bear that in mind. But you will have the marketplace. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute when we get to it. But we will not be extending the mint. So if you want that full, APR, again, 60%, you will need to get in before that timer is up. But there will be options through the marketplace if you, for whatever reason, happen to miss that. And we know a lot of people are waiting until, the very end anyway, to maximize their yield other places. So again, we will not be extending, just want to make that perfectly clear. And we absolutely may do another raise in the future, but this APR will probably be the most that we give. Again, the idea is that we scale out of needing to raise capital, and we have enough capital internally to produce yield and have a revenue stream for Fusion. So don't count on a future raise. And if there is one, it will be a slightly lower return as well. Again, just to give the basic detail, I think Brian did a great job already for those that were listening. But it is a 60% APR. The bonds are collateralized by the Treasury. So that was another really important thing with these NFTs. One of the questions here is, how are you able to guarantee the return? And the short answer is that we already have the assets both native tokens, meaning, EMP, Spark. Obviously, we don't want to ever sell those tokens, but in a worst case scenario, they do add to the collateralization. We have some ETH reserves. We have an insurance fund. Like Brian mentioned earlier, there's already been about 100 grand that we have used to buy EMP and Eshare over the last few months with the excess that we've been earning. And just the assets alone in the treasury would be able to cover even win, lose, or draw. Again, we love Brian. He's very talented. But even in a worst case scenario, if he wasn't able to produce any yield over the next year, we have the ability to make good on, this loan. And that's why we specifically use the word guaranteed when other protocols may not be able to, have that guaranteed verbiage. So, during this two-week launch, everybody typically gets in at the end. So I know there hasn't been a lot of urgency, but don't wait until the very end. Again, we have a hard cap of 500K, and that's again on purpose because we would never want to take on more funds than we know that we can make good on. Again, that 1.6x. Where your $250 turns into $400. So just again, don't get caught in the last minute. Also Brian also mentioned, on and off ramping, although TradeYield itself doesn't deal with fiat. Again, we're crypto to crypto based project. We do have a partnership now, which we've been teasing and made the official announcement on the last AMA with Spritz. We've had a relationship with them for 2 years now, but that's been purely off-ramping. Well, now we have an on-ramping solution through Spritz. So if you are looking, again, we're running out of time, but you may be able to get into the marketplace and buy these off the marketplace. But if you do want to get fiat into crypto, please go through Spritz. LA just posted our affiliate link. And if you have not signed up for a Spritz account, please do. Brian, I'll ask you real quick, brother. How do you like Spritz, man? I know I turned you on to them months ago, but you want to give a quick testimonial to how awesome Spritz is? Yeah.
I was looking at it because my problem was, because I do everything in crypto. I mean, even like 99% outside of like assets held in some real estate or whatever is held in, our assets are held in crypto. So I was off ramping every month from Binance in Canada because I didn't have a US exchange. So I'd wire to Canada and then have to, just to avoid fees, have to send it to TransferWise, and then from TransferWise have to send it to Chase. And it was like a 5 to 7 day period, and I was still getting hit with tons of fees. But then obviously Binance, shut down any wires in Canada, Australia, and a few other countries. And there's really no solution. But yeah, when I reached out to you, man, and you presented me with Spritz, like I couldn't believe it. All you do is connect your MetaMask account, and I would just, select the token and network that I wanted to withdraw from, and literally, connect my bank account too. And we bank with Chase in the United States. And literally we click the processing button to process in MetaMask, and it would process on Spritz. And as soon as I'd log onto my bank account through the app, the funds would be in the account instantly. I was just blown away. And then obviously the benefit, you could pay your credit cards, which I've used. You could pay your mortgage, car payments, bills, all of that stuff directly through Spritz. But no, it was a huge saving grace, man. And now obviously I think just because they're growing, they went to, a 1 to 2 business day model for standard withdrawals, and then you can pay 1% for to receive within an hour. And a lot of times I still do the 1%, but I've never had an issue with Spritz. Their support is amazing. My first time paying credit cards, there was some bug that failed and said failed attempt on it. They literally fixed it within an hour, and everything went through no problem. I know I've referred, I don't know how many people who have been in the space for a long time and work for institutions, even guys from crypto.com, and they love it. They just can't believe at the simplicity and the ease of it. And the great part about it too, man, as you know, is that especially from a corporate standpoint and structure, like we off ramp funds from BVI. I offer them to Spritz, and then from Spritz it goes to a LLC bank account in the United States. But it just looks like typical income company. It just looks like income coming into the company because it just shows like an incorporation on your bank statement. And so simplifies the whole process. And yeah, man, I can't say enough of good things about them. And even, you introduced me to the CEO and everything else in the group, and they're phenomenal. And,
For sure, brother.
Yeah, can't say enough good things, guys. I mean, if you're not on it, I would highly recommend to get on it, because if you're off-ramping funds through anything else, you're wasting money and at the same time wasting time, most likely. And they're just great. So yeah,
awesome.
Can't say enough good things about them.
Yeah, no doubt, bro. And again, we work with them, on a much more regular basis, moving funds. And, like Brian said, obviously, definitely pay your taxes wherever you are in the world. But in terms of reporting, it really simplifies the process. And yes, you do have to KYC, but it's a very light KYC, again, just to protect the anti-money laundering laws. But yeah, again, if you haven't created a Spritz account, please do. And now that they offer on-ramping, again, if you'd like to get into the NFTs, you can work that option as well. There are still some states, ironically enough, Florida, where I am, is still restricted. But they're working to get that resolved again. Just it has to do with some additional paperwork. But yeah, really exciting stuff. And all right, I'm gonna go into again just a quick.
AJ,
yeah, go ahead, LA, please. Yeah, please.
Before we move on, I did want to just back up a little bit and go back to the part about the guarantee, because I think we went over that just a little bit too fast. So I just want to go back to that part and just mention a couple more things, and then just get a little bit more clear for everyone on a couple things. So.
All right. Yeah, totally. So yeah, you want me to back up on the guarantee? Yeah.
I want to just mention a couple things. So last time Brian was here, you guys did share with us kind of like a snapshot of what's currently in the treasury. So one thing that wasn't mentioned today is obviously for the last 8 months, Brian has been working on growing the treasury funds. And so there is quite a large amount already being traded and I can't talk today and growing every month. So based on the snapshot shown in our AMA the last time Brian was here, there's already enough in the treasury that could cover everyone 2 times over for that max cap plus the 60%. Also, on top of that, when it comes to the insurance fund, I'm going to get AJ to speak on this a little further, or Brian, but the way it works is beyond the 60%, whatever's raised beyond that, whatever's earned beyond that, a portion of it is used to build an insurance fund every month as a second stop of guarantee. So beyond the guarantee that's provided by what's in the treasury, this is a second form of guarantee. So throughout those 12 months, we're going to be working on building an insurance fund that's large enough to cover everyone's investment plus their 60% as well.
Yeah, I can. Correct? Yeah, absolutely. Let me elaborate on that a little more, and then Brian, if there's anything you want to add, you can. But yeah, 100%. So again, we showed a screenshot of about 1.7 million. With the majority of that being the treasury, and what we've been able to yield, over the last 8 months, or 6 months at least. And so to Ellie's point, obviously, in a worst case scenario, the last thing we want to do is sell. Even if Brian does take the losses or not able to generate any additional yield, what we don't want to do is have to sell native assets like, again, EMP, Eshare, Spark, even though technically that is part of the collateralization, and that would hurt everybody else. Now, to LA's point, the reason that we're doing this is that not only can the treasury cover it itself, but we're also doing a secondary insurance fund. Again, we've already started this process, and a portion of the yield is already diverted to that insurance fund. So the idea is that we're able to literally collateralize the liabilities 2 times over. And this insurance fund will also be in just straight USD or USDC, where we're not having to speculate on, the price of ETH or the price of Bitcoin. Like, it's hard cash that we have reserved. And so, yeah, I think between both of those, that the fact that you can count on your 60% return, and we'll talk a little bit more about this too as we finish up here, but again, the whole reason that we're doing this is that we hope to earn more than that 60% APR. Like Brian said in the beginning, he was a little more risky. The days of the 200 and 400% returns are not there. But even if we're able to do 10% a month, which is very conservative, that guarantees the 5% to everybody else, and then above and beyond, we do a portion of that to the insurance fund. Once the insurance fund is made whole and everybody is fully collateralized twice, then literally the revenue will go to EMP Fusion. And, we had discussed that as well. Brian manages, we're not just the only thing that Brian does. So obviously he will manage other of his institutional accounts, and, he gets management fees for doing so. But, and Brian even said this in the beginning, and I'll let him speak for himself here in a minute. But, Brian is an investor at EMP, so he wants EMP to succeed as much as everybody else does. So the whole idea of this partnership is that not only is it an opportunity for everybody, but it also dramatically increases the revenue for EMP Fusion, over the next 1, 2, 5, 10 years as we continue to grow. So yeah, I don't know if you want to elaborate on anything else, Brian or LA, if there's anything specifically. Yeah.
One more thing for maybe you, Brian, is I remember us mentioning this on the last couple AMAs, but you're never putting the entire fund into trading all at the same time, and that's why it's so much safer. So what percentage would you say you might be trading at any given moment?
Yeah, so no, that's a great question, and it's actually a discussion AJ and I had a couple days ago, and so we've actually become more robust on the allocations to the accounts, to insurance funds, and even separate wallet that we distribute 50% of the profit to on a daily basis, just to protect everything. And so typically we trade maybe at single time, like now, especially 25 to 30% of the fund at max, but it's segregated between, I do trade on Bybit as well. I have institutional accounts with them. So I primarily, scalp and short-term swing trade on there, where crypto.com was, larger. I wouldn't say longer. I mean, longer could be a day, 3 days, 1 to 3 days, primarily on Bitcoin and Ethereum using the algorithm. But after, AJ and I had discussions a couple of days ago, now it's, any profits that are taken within a day, 50% of those are automatically withdrawn from the account and actually send it to a private wallet that AJ has control of as well. And then at the end of the month, we'll do the insurance fund distributions, or week if we had a really good week. And right now, insurance fund, it's about 25% of additional, additional funds. But that's after, we distribute the 50% of any profitable returns we do now on a daily basis. So that goes actually to a separate account. So we're always building that account as well. And then we do break off percent if there is, a good amount left to EMP to put it, back in the treasury on that side of things, and more of the collateralized like EMP, Eshare assets, obviously with the launch of Fusion coming up. But no, we're being very strict and stringent on how we're protecting the fund. And we've put even stricter protocols in place now, just to be able to always have that, that treasury or insurance fund on the side. Plus, again, the daily distributions of profits, I think, is going to make a huge difference on that side. So we know there are always funds there until we get to the point where, we equal the principal balance of the fund. And then, there's a bit more, I guess, room on that side of things, once we meet that benchmark. But our biggest thing is security, guys, especially when it comes down to funds. Markets are unpredictable to a certain extent, but you do have, they shot up in the market last week with Bitcoin, blew through, second time in history to blow through, the tops like it did, and all the indicators and go against the stock market, or the CME, and it is like our top priority at this point, and always has been, to put everything we can in place to mitigate any risk to the fund whatsoever, and always have that insurance fund on the side. So we're never trading. We have funds and ledgers, dedicated ledgers for the fund, funds in Bybit, crypto.com, and then the private fund with or private wallet that AJ has control of as well. And AJ, we have protocols in place too, in case anything happens to me, that, there would be, AJ would be able to access the funds so your funds are not lost and gone forever if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, and hope to God it doesn't happen, but you never know these days.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, so we put a lot of things in place, guys, and that's basically all I have on that side of it, but we're always working to protect your funds.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian. And again, LA, we're happy to go into it more, but yeah, we have contingency plans on literally everything. And, like Brian said, I am in control. We share a wallet that, again, we are always contributing EMP and Eshare on the overage. And then I have another wallet, again, that I'm in control of for the insurance fund. And we'll keep everybody up to date on that too. Like the day that we have enough in that insurance fund in pure USDC cash that guarantees the liabilities, I think that's going to be a huge day for everybody. And again, we're as transparent on that as we can be, and we'll do future updates, on these AMAs as we go. And lastly, again, I said this over on Discord, and obviously trolls like to mix my words, but the other really important thing to remember is our liabilities are not due for an entire year, and we did that on purpose. It's not to make it to where we can be more risky or potentially yield more for ourselves. Again, to be clear, Brian and I are not taking a cut of this. It's all going to paying the bonds, and then again, above and beyond that, actually goes to EMP. So I think that's another really important fact to bring up. And so on top of that, my point was is that we have time is on our side, and so we're able to be conservative. We don't have to take giant risks, and we can yield that 60% and hopefully much more over the next year. And I've said it also in another AMA, the reason that it's a fixed rate as well is because we've seen the damage that hyper compounding can do to funds like this. So Brian, I don't know, maybe you want to say 2 words on that. I mean, we went over this day in and day out and really saw how the power of compound interest, it's great for people that earn, but it really can put a fund in jeopardy over the long run. So that was another reason that we stuck to what we have now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's amazing when you start actually calculating. I mean, even $100 a day, if you you keep adding $100 a day at a certain percent return, or to manage return at a certain percent, after 6 months, I mean, that rolls into a very significant amount. And
For sure.
Our big thing too is, to avoid, obviously if we are compounding funds and providing compounded returns, that does put us under a different structure. Then you can't compound loans, returns on loans, you can't compound returns on loans. So, I mean, there's other regulatory stuff that goes in with that, but
Absolutely.
At the same time, it adds stress and pressure to the fund every month. So, I mean, now with this, it gives us that flexibility, based on a yearly APY. It gives us the flexibility and comfort where, we know what our benchmark is every month. It's not an overextended threshold that we need to meet. I think we still average 25 to 27% at very low volume and volatility in the market. And again, I'm not trading at any high risk level. Typically, I'm in and out of trade sometimes 3 to 5 times a day, guys, because I take profit, secure it. I don't like being in trades, for a long period. It never typically works out, to your benefit in the end, unless you are right on point with the market. With removing the compounding factor from that, we remove that additional stress, because every month compounding, it adds more stress to the market, or more stress to the accounts, and more stress trading on the trading side, because now 6 months from now, let's just say we started with $100,000, and 6 months from now we're at like 2.5 million. Having to return 10% or 5% on 2.5 million is a much different situation than having to do it on $100,000 in the fund. So before, when we started with sort of a compound based model, and again, we were just kind of getting our feet wet, and we launched this thing, and figuring, we figured it out along the way. Now, especially because we went to this yearly, APY model, we do have that flexibility and comfort knowing that, hey, we can take 50% of profits on a daily basis, move them to another wallet, and have that security where we're not saying, crap, like now we're trading on 10 times the amount, or now the account balance is 10, 20 times the amount, and we have to return this percent. Now we need those additional funds to where before we needed a pillow, basically had to back the fund, so that we could have more and more funds in the account, so we could reduce the risk and margin on trades, but still be trading at a higher volume, just to meet those benchmarks. So this is a major move for us, and benefit for everyone else, and for us as well, to be able to remove that compound and go to this model, and just provide safety and security, guys, over the long term. The fund and your funds. And, I'd rather, have everybody make, a ton of money over a 5-year period, where hit a 6 to 7 month period. And next thing everybody loses it all. So,
For sure.
I mean, it's just one of those things, guys, that, I'm very excited for. And, from the trading perspective and trading side, it doesn't force me to, there's no stress in thinking about the following month, and what we had to, have to produce, where now everything is calculated, and we have that, comfort of being able to move funds on a daily basis, protect the accounts, not trade on 100% of the funds, and only have to trade on a small percentage, to be able to hit the benchmarks. And, and that benefits everybody. So
Perfect. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. So, all right, awesome. LA, was there anything else before? We have a few more bullet points I want to go over, but does that help
Nope.
answer some of the loose ends?
Yeah, that's perfect. You guys killed it.
All right, awesome. So again, I know it's getting long here. I want to wrap it up but again, I want to give it as much detail as we can as well. So I just wanted to kind of highlight some APR comparisons. So let me go ahead and pull this up. LA, while I pull this up, do you want to give a bit of background? I know you were snooping around Beefy, I believe it was. So go ahead. Yeah.
I was just kind of looking around the internet at like what else is out there in regards to, if you have a chunk of USDC or any stable, really, like what can you earn with it? Whether it's locked, whether it's not locked, like what are your other options with it right now? Because we all know that, typically the returns on stables are not that great, because there's a lot less risk involved with stables than there are in a lot of the other options available in DeFi. But I wanted to just kind of do a little browsing around the internet and just see what the returns were.
Totally.
So one of the places it brought me to was Beefy, and here's just a screenshot that I got from there. The current offering on Binance for USDC is 1.66% per year. So that's a pretty big difference between
Totally.
60% per year.
Yeah, I would
And
yeah, totally. I would venture to say we're industry leading, right, LA? Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, if you look at that, the highest was BUSD at 10.97. So even that is such a huge difference from 60%. So if you're looking for a really quite great return on your USDC, these Treasury Bond NFTs are a great option. No, this is not financial advice, but it is a great option to consider.
Yeah, no, 100%. And even even some of the bridging again, Stargate Finance, L1DEX, and their single staking options. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about L1DEX APR specifically, but even those, you're looking at definitely a little better than Beefy, but you're still at 20% APR, but over 24 months. It's a long time to lock up, and we get that the 1 year is even a long time with the 60% APR, but the marketplace will really help with that. So that's also what I wanted to go to next, and then we can wrap it up completely. But Elliot, anything else in terms of yield before we move on to the marketplace?
No, I mean, yeah, this was just meant for a simple comparison of what else is out there. And obviously, this goes to say we know that there's a lot higher APRs out there on riskier options.
For sure.
We're not saying there's not, but this provides a guarantee and it's a great APR for a stable. That's all we're saying. And this is kind of just a simple comparison for other options out there.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I forgot to put this up earlier. If I'm gonna have my face on the NFT, again, I make this joke a lot, but we want to be very confident that we can deliver on everything that we say we're gonna do. So, and yeah, to Ella's point, I can guarantee that none of those other options come with a guarantee. So it's just a way for us to continue to instill confidence. And so, to my point, and then we can wrap it up here. Not only is it an incredible APR, even if you do have to count on getting your full 60% APR after a year. However, we will have a secondary marketplace. So this is the other really cool thing. It's finished, and it will be live again shortly after the mint is over. We're hoping November 1st. There may be a few hours delay. But once everybody again gets their NFTs, the marketplace will open, and this will be a way for you to get out in a worst case scenario, or if you have maybe 6 months from now, you want 30% APR. So it gives people options. Obviously, it is peer to peer, so you would have to have a buyer on the other side. But I think the demand will increase on these because again, the shorter time frame, even at a 1 month time frame, a 5% return in 1 month is pretty incredible. So I think that again, there will be some swing trading on the marketplace. Again, depending on the years. I'm sorry, depending on the months that you want to own these NFTs and experience the gains. Now, bear in mind there is a 2% a marketplace fee, so maybe getting in and out within a month is probably not a good idea. That would reduce your APR dramatically in 1 month. From 5 to 3, but percent. But again, it's options. And on top of that, I think we're gonna have a lot of demand as well on people that may have missed this mint. There will be NFTs available on the marketplace. And now you're getting, again, 55% APR for 11 months. I mean, that is still super duper attractive and gives people options. So don't sleep on the marketplace. Yeah, go ahead, Ellie. Yeah.
I want to point out one really important part of this too. I don't believe that there's going to be any diminishing demand for these in the secondary
For
marketplace,
sure.
um, simply because there's never going to be a time when there's going to be diminishing returns throughout the entire 12 months because the smart contract is determining the sales price based on principal and principal plus any interest earned up until that very moment that sale goes through minus a small fee. And so it's not like some of the other NFTs that we've had that have been invested into the Detonator or the Reactor, where the returns are based on what happens inside those contracts. This is a guaranteed fixed rate return, and the sales price in the secondary market is based on what has been earned up until that moment, plus the original investment. And so there's never going to be a moment where there's diminishing returns that could affect the sales prices, which would then drive more or less buyers and sellers in the marketplace. And so I personally believe that there's going to be continued interest in purchasing happening in the secondary market, because a lot of people did miss out on this opportunity. I can't tell you how many people have said, oh man, like, I'm trying to get my money on ramped, I don't know if I'm going to make it on time. A lot of people seem to wait till the last minute here. So
For
I
sure.
do believe that it is going to be pretty consistent for that fact alone.
Yeah, no, amazing point, LA. And yeah, to just to elaborate a little more, that's why we decided to do these NFTs a little different as well. They will not be transferable. And again, you know, yes, we have our own secondary market, but the idea is that we didn't want people undercutting the price of the NFTs because there's actual collateral backing, you know, the bonds themselves. So it makes no sense to be selling, you know, below market value when, you know, there's collateral backing every single bond individually. So this is a much better approach. Again, it allows the flexibility to get out early if you need to. And one more thing too, we will have an emergency withdrawal option as well that doesn't require a new buyer or peer-to-peer, somebody buying it from you. It will be funded through the treasury itself. However, again, it will be on a limited basis. You know, there will only be a certain amount of those available each week, but you will be able to redeem those instantly for a 10% fee under principal and forfeiting all of the yield. So as time goes on, that becomes much more of a haircut, you know, as well. So just keep that in mind. Again, if you're going to get into these NFTs, plan on having them for a year. And one last point, we may even see a scenario that we saw in the Power Up NFTs that the yield is so attractive, most people have already ROI'd on those, and there really isn't any there's none available. So we could definitely see a you know a fact of that the demand is so high and nobody is selling that as soon as you do sell you list your bond on the marketplace, it could get snatched up, you know, very quickly. So again, I think it gives options to everybody, and no matter what, it's a win-win for EMP and those that do have the treasury bonds. So, all right, I think that really is it. I know it was a long one. Again, we have a lot more to go over, but this was a deep dive on the NFT. And again, if you have to dip out, no problem. This will be recorded, so you can listen to this in stages. But LA, is there any specific questions while Brian is here, or any other updates before we move on?
Darusik asked a really great one. What are the plans for the insurance fund after the bonds are paid out in 12 months?
Yeah, so again, uh, um, excuse me, that's another amazing thing about this. Once we have secured the loan, liabilities, that means all of the funds can then get directed back towards Fusion. So again, we will still, you know, have again, 50% or less, but somewhere in that range of funds that go to grow the fund overall. Obviously, we need to continue to grow, the total fund itself. But rather than having to divert to, you know, an insurance fund, now that gives us a lot more flexibility on diverting the funds to Fusion. And again, that was the overall goal with this. You know, Brian manages other accounts. Again, he institutionally. I'm not going to dox them, on our own AMA, but there's a lot of protocols that you may know and recognize that Brian has been yielding on and managing. So again, he has his own thing. He can make money. He can charge, you know, his management fees and all that. This is separate, you know, of what our partnership has been. and anything above and beyond the insurance fund and the liabilities is split with the mass majority, not only growing the fund in the treasury, our treasury, but then going to Fusion as a revenue stream. And we've alluded to this a lot on the other AMAs of the secret project that has been crushing it, and really again providing a massive amount of revenue. And that is this. So once Fusion is live, we have all the liabilities covered. Then we can have a massive amount of revenue, not including Sparkswap or L1DEX or any of the other revenue streams that we have. But now that will be another faucet, or fire hose, hopefully, of feeding the Fusion rewards. So does that make sense, LA?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And just one question on that note. At the end of the year, just say, for example, 1 year in, we pay everyone out, all the NFTs get burned, everyone gets their principal plus 60%, and then, for example, we decide we want to launch another round of them.
For sure.
That insurance fund stay intact in that case, or what would you plan on doing with it?
Yeah, so that's something that we would just have to determine as it gets closer. I mean, obviously, there's a risk-reward situation where you just don't want funds sitting idle without any purpose. Obviously, if they're part of collateralizing, then they have to stay put, and we would never put funds at risk that are meant to collateralize. But in your example, LA, I mean, for sure, I think, that would be even more bullish if we kept that insurance fund, alive, or, we use that insurance fund to pay out all the liabilities itself and continue to scale the treasury without ever having to take a hit on paying that out. So there's a few different ways that we can do it. Again, the overall takeaway is no matter what, that is a massive amount of cash reserves that we can use that to best impact the protocol overall. So I'd say and again, not to put Brian on the spot, we haven't really discussed that, but I mean, again, the goal is to support everything that we do, right, Brian? Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So,
Yeah.
and again, the insurance fund's there. I mean, once it's topped up to principal balance, I mean that secures everybody, everybody's investment into the treasury bonds.
For sure.
But like AJ said, that could also be used to pay out, depending how long. We don't know how long it would take to build to get to that principal balance, but that could also be used, like you said, to pay out the returns from the treasury bonds themselves without impacting EMP. And AJ and I haven't taken a penny from everything we've done on the trading side for fees or anything else. And for me, I'm pretty well invested into EMP, and our goal here is obviously to support Fusion and the growth of Fusion and the community of EMP the best that we can with this treasury bond.
Totally. Yeah,
So,
and again, we dropped some alpha on another AMA, just not to get too off topic here, but we also have plans on potentially implementing a TradeYield battery, where Fusion itself actually becomes a way to DCA into these NFTs. And again, it may be a little bit of a different structure, a little bit more conservative probably than these treasury bonds. But all of that is part of the long-term plan, and we have plenty of time to implement the best option for everybody. So that's all, that the ultimate goal is to scale as much as we can, and that was the whole reason that we even did this treasury bond initiative. I know a lot of people are asking, like, why did you even do this? And the short answer is that we want to scale. I mean, we're at what I feel is the bottom of a bear, like Brian said. I think people are getting a little prematurely excited. I know everybody's talking about the bull run starting now. I think we're going to see at least one more dip before the real bull run kicks in. But the idea is that we are poised so incredibly well to profit now, because the idea is that you want to buy low and sell high. So in a year from now, just based on the market value appreciation of our assets, EMP included, Eshare, Spark, I mean, all of our native tokens, we could be in an incredible position at the height of the next bull run. And LA, I know you've even said it too. I mean, using these bonds as a bit of a pseudo savings account where, you get this unlock of a giant payout at the height of the bull run. I mean, how awesome is that going to be? Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up going in with 50% more than I originally thought I would because after talking on all these AMAs, I just convinced myself to be more bullish than I thought I was.
I love
and
it.
I was already pretty damn bullish. So that goes to say, I mean, sometimes you drink your own Kool-Aid.
For sure. Well, and on that note too, and Brian again said this without me even prompting him earlier. Everybody got into this NFT on the same playing field. So the original VIPs, this public sale, LA again being a team member, nobody got NFTs for free. Everybody paid the exact same number or price, I'm sorry, for the NFT, that $250. Again, there was a pre-mint. A lot of you've seen it on chain. We never had that, but the pre-mint was us transitioning the original VIPs into this NFT program. So nobody is getting, bonus returns. Again, we're as transparent as we can possibly be, and now everybody is on an equal playing field moving forward at the best rate that we can that's humanly possible to provide. So, all right, awesome. LA, any specific questions? And then we'll let Brian head on out. I know he's had he's got to get ready to start ramping up trades again, I'm sure. But yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I think we're ready to move on to our next section.
All right. Well, Brian, thank you for being here, brother. We'd love to have you back as we continue to build. And yeah, man, any final words?
No, I'm just happy to be here, guys, and yeah, thanks for inviting me out, and yeah, happy to jump on any future calls. And if anybody has any specific questions or questions for me regarding the Treasury bond specifically, you can feel free to reach out to me on Telegram. It's just at TradeYield, and I'm in the EMP group as well. But let's keep it. Please keep it to the Treasury bonds. Because I did get inundated from the last call with messages on trading advice, which I am 100% happy to share and give advice on, but time is limited, so sometimes it takes a little while for me to get back on that type of stuff. But happy to answer any questions. And yeah, guys, just really excited to roll this out, and for all of you who are jumping on board within the first stage of this Treasury bond launch. And yeah, just look forward to working with everybody here, and very excited for Fusion, guys, and can't wait for that to be launched and be able to be on the back side here helping support that. So thanks, AJ and LA, for having me out. And yeah, guys, happy to jump on anytime on AMAs whenever you'd like.
All right, brother. Sounds good, man. Great to hear from you.
Brian.
All right, Brian. Take it easy, my friend.
Yeah.
You too. All right, awesome, everybody. There you have it. So, and again, we're in daily contact with Brian. We'll be giving updates as we go. Sharing some periodic trade journals. The good, the bad, the ugly, whatever it takes to be, again, as transparent as we can be. And again, as you can tell over an hour now, Brian is as genuine as they come, and that's why we're so excited for this ongoing relationship to continue to scale. So, all right. Again, appreciate all of you sticking it out. It will be a doozy today. We have a lot more to get to. But we will have different chapters. Again, shout out to, who is it now? I think it's Darusik and David that are doing our chapters. LA, I want to make sure we recognize them. It's been really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, big shout out to Darusik, who's doing all of the timestamps, and Rorsum and David, who are doing all the notes. It is so helpful to us. We have so many really helpful people who are helping behind the scenes in our groups, and just being such a positive impact on this ecosystem. And we couldn't do it without all you guys. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely, LA. Again, I want to take one quick moment to recognize their hard work. And again, that's the beauty of our protocol. They have put in the effort and really helped tremendously without ever an expectation of anything in return. And those are the kind of people that we want to reward and promote within our ecosystem. So please go show them some love. And again, notes and timestamps, I call them chapters, but the notes and timestamps are usually already within 24 hours of the video finishing. So all right, we already kind of went over this, so I'll make this one short and sweet. But Spritz, man, Spritz again has been absolutely unbelievable. And if you remember from our last AMA, they officially announced their new on-ramp service. So this is something that we have been keeping hush hush for a while. Some of the VIP members have actually been able to pilot this on-ramping program. Again, I won't dox him, but one of our VIPs that you've heard from actually used this on-ramp service without any flaws whatsoever, and now it's available to everybody. So make sure that not only are you using it for on-ramp and off-ramp, and again, all those fees, we get a portion of affiliate commission as well. LA posted the link in the and all of our socials and in the live chat. But at the very least, you sign up for an account. You do have to do a minor KYC, but it's very, very minimal. And there is a little bit of there's still some restrictions. Again, I mentioned Florida, I believe New York as well here in America, and maybe a few other countries, but the majority of those countries are now available. Again, Canada, Australia, majority of UK, and they continue to expand. So, LA, anything you want to add specifically about Spritz? I feel like I have been talking for a long time, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you are located in the US, you have access to pretty much all of their services now. So that's the debit card, the bill payment, the off-ramping, the on-ramping. If you're in Florida, New York, Louisiana, or Alaska, you are going to have to hold tight for a hot minute before you're able to do the on-ramping. But in all the other states, it's live to purchase USDC on Ethereum, Polygon, and Avalanche. And it literally takes seconds. So I haven't personally tried that yet, but that is what I've been told. I've tried all of their other services, and it's literally game changing. So amazing. In Canada now, most of their services seem to be live. And then in the rest of the world, in a handful of European countries, in UK and in Australia, the debit card is now available with more services on the way. And if it's not yet available in your country, it doesn't hurt to sign up now and then to join their Discord server. And they do have a voting mechanism in their Discord, and it really actually does make quite a big difference, because I can't tell you, Canada was on the highest number of votes for quite a while, and I don't think it was a coincidence that it was the next one launched. So get some of your friends together and get voting for your country if it's not live yet on their Discord. So
Perfect. Yeah, no doubt. Well, and I see in the comments too, Old Man Crypto said I can dox him. So he was on our last AMA. I know for a fact he has personally used the on-ramp service, and he said that it was flawless. So again, don't sleep on Spritz. It makes your life so much easier. And we dropped a lot of alpha in the last AMA about Spritz specifically, but we also have major plans on getting even more involved with Spritz, especially when EMP Fusion is live. We will have an off and on ramp service provided by Spritz directly in Fusion. So again, don't expect that right on launch. It may be a little bit of a of a process. There are some things we need to just make sure of. When you have an on-ramp service, there are a lot more hoops that you have to jump through. But as long as it's through Spritz directly and EMP as an entity is not handling funds, it becomes a lot more regulatory safe. So we'll have more info on that, but the goal is to integrate Spritz directly into EMP Fusion, and that will do wonders for adoption. Again, imagine being able to just onboard your fiat right into buying a microgrid and start earning within minutes. I mean, on top of a bull run, those are just the little tiny things that make a major impact, and why we're so excited for what's to come for sure. So, all right, LA, anything else about Spritz before we move on to L1DEX?
We're ready to move on.
All right, awesome. So, lots of updates for L1DEX. Again, we're continuing to build and do everything in our power to get things live. We've said this many times before, but L1X is a brand new chain. Obviously, there's going to be some things that we have to work through. That would be the case for just a standard EVM chain. But the fact that L1X is interoperable, you have to not only be compatible with Solidity, but also Rust, and have the ability for all of these things to communicate with each other. It's a hell of an undertaking. So, we are making headway. Again, we're not just sitting on our hands doing nothing, but it is a lot of back and forth. With the L1X Foundation and our devs to really get a product that we're all happy with. So those of you who got in on the pre-sale, we're supposed to have been able to claim your first portion of your vested tokens. So definitely check for that. Again, you should have been able to claim by now. If for whatever reason you haven't been able to claim, please open a ticket in L1X Discord. We provide them all the info, but ultimately they're the ones that have to distribute the tokens. And so make sure that you're again checking to see if you were part of the original pre-sale or the original seed round. Those that have gotten the public sale are still waiting. So we had hoped that and the original roadmap said that they would have distributed by the end of the month. LA, it looks like maybe the beginning of November now, right? In terms of the public sale distribution.
No, so
Go ahead.
we were assured last night that everybody in our public sale would be paid out within the next 72 hours. So we're hoping that they keep their word with that. So if you got in during the public sale and you haven't received your tokens yet, please continue to check back within the next 72 hours. And if you still have not received your tokens at that time, then please do open a ticket in their Discord and let us know as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you for clarifying again. There's a lot of moving parts, and we have to communicate with them and vice versa, and sometimes that process is hard. But at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we'll never put you guys in a potential situation that it negatively impacts you, and that's always been our goal. And it's another reason, honestly, why L1DEX has been not 100%. Even if it was ready today, we want to make sure that everybody has their tokens before we release the interface. So there will be staking options with L1X again because we're using the balancer pools. You will have to have L1X to get into a lot of those pools, and especially the main pool. So we want to make sure everybody has their L1X before we launch this. And I know that there is the X app, or I believe they're calling it Spaces now. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. you can earn an APR for staking your or providing liquidity to that app, but realize that it is a major lockup. I think the minimum is 3 months of having your capital locked up, and the APR is going to be substantially less than what we're able to provide on L1DEX. So just remember again, everything risk and reward. Obviously, you by single staking in the L1X app, yeah, you're not exposed to the impermanent loss. But if anything, it could be a permanent gain over on L1DEX because the volatility of whatever balancer pool you're in may actually create more yield for you on top of what we're providing in terms of APR and rewarding liquidity providers. So once we're finally ready and have a working product on mainnet, we will give everybody plenty of notice to get ready. Again, I would say start getting some of your blue chip assets ready. If you do want to provide liquidity for the DEX, once we're ready, it will be all hands on deck, and then we'll actually be able to show, and facilitate cross chain swaps without a bridge. So we're really excited for all that. Everything's coming together. Again, I know it might not be on the timeline that everybody was hoping for, but we are making major headway. So, LA, anything else you want to add about staking options or anything else? We have a few more bullets.
Yeah. One thing that was highly requested is a tutorial video on how to claim your tokens, and they did have a basic video on the blog that was kind of like flipping through PowerPoint slides. But I just wanted to let you guys know, like, we did request kind of just a very basic slowed down video where someone's actually doing it in real time and speaking through the process. We did request it a couple weeks ago, and so I have a follow-up call. We have a follow-up call with them tonight, so we're going to find out where they're at with that and get a hold of that as soon as possible, because I know some of you are still kind of not really sure how to do it even after reading the blog and watching that existing video. So we're going to get that to you as soon as we can, and we'll follow up with them tonight and find out where they're at with that, and we'll get that over to you guys as soon as we can.
Yeah, perfect. So, and again, just to recap on a few things, the DEX itself may not launch at the exact same time as the staking options, on the app. Again, there's two separate things. So, they're also rolling out what they're calling experts. And again, this is L1X, not us. But there will be single staking options for your L1X on the app, but that will apply to their launchpad and some other perks that you get as well. So again, I want people to just be very clear that, even though we have an amazing relationship and we've been working hand in hand, we are two separate, projects, and there will be different options for different outcomes. So, our DEX is mainly focused around the deep liquidity and cross-chain swaps. Again, all through balancer pools and some other, liquidity providing options. But the L1X app is more so for, again, the just locking up your L1X to get access to the launchpad, other perks, and that's again called the Experts Program. And you can listen to L1X for more info on that. So there will be options for everybody. Again, we're doing everything we can to be the best at communicating. There are a ton of moving parts. Just know that we are making headway. Again, we're not at a standstill. We're just continuing to roll things out as it gets going, and it will be worth the wait. So again, I know everybody wants it now. Obviously, we want to be able to start earning fees and providing an incredible product market fit with bridgeless swaps, but we don't want to rush that process either. So just again, sit back, relax, There is still no announcement on when L1X will actually be tradable anyway. We hope to have a peer-to-peer marketplace on L1DEX for those that do want to take profit or buy L1X outside of the public sale. But all that, again, as far as I know, isn't going to be available until, hopefully the end of the year. So there really isn't a lot of rush. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but we are excited on, again, the tech and everything that we know L1X can be and L1DEX can be coming to fruition. So hopefully that helps. Again, I wish I had more updates for everybody, but we're just, plugging along as we go. So, LA, anything else you want to elaborate on or clarify?
Nope, that's it for now.
All right, awesome. And yeah, we'll get to some Q&A at the end, maybe if we didn't go over it as well. So, all right, a few more things here. I know, again, like I said, it's a long one. I appreciate all of you sticking around. PulseChain. So, we had some of our VIPs ask a really good question, and I wanted to bring it up on the AMA. And the basic is, what is the long-term prospects of Pulse and PulseChain? So again, I mean, I love this question because I take for granted that everybody knows what Pulse is and the history and all the ins and outs because I'm eat, live and breathe crypto 24/7. But I understand a lot of you don't. So I mean, I'm super bullish on PulseChain for really one major reason, and we've said this on a lot of other AMAs, but I'll be the first to say that there really isn't anything special in terms of tech around PulseChain. The idea is that it's a faster, cheaper alternative to Ethereum or an EVM-based chain. But we've seen a lot of other layer twos pop up that pretty much do the same thing as Pulse. Arbitrum, to name one as an example. However, what none of them have is the actual community that PulseChain has. And we did an AMA today with the Moulin Rouge Lounge, and the community was a big part of the topic was how important community is. And again, you could have the most amazing blockchain in the planet, but if nobody is using it, it doesn't matter. So I'm bullish on the diehard community that PulseChain already has proven. Again, whether you're an original Hexagon or you believe in Richard Hart, even if you aren't a fan of Richard Hart, you cannot argue with his ability to market. And I think, as soon as we get some clarity on the SEC dilemma, and there's a ruling made, or Richard Hart simply just settles, and we have a bull run, I mean, we could see PulseChain do incredible numbers. Again, I mean, not to compare apples to oranges, but Hex did a 10,000x from its original price. So, even if we saw 100x, on Pulse over the next 5 years, I mean, that's a pretty amazing return. So we're here for the long run, and I'm very bullish on PulseChain overall, simply because it has a diehard community, and more people are building on Pulse every day. So does that make sense, LA, or anything you want to add to that? I don't know. What are you bullish about with PulseChain other than Spark? Yeah.
Sparkswap all the way, 3650 squad.
I love it. Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, the PulseChain community is very passionate, very, very passionate. And you said it perfectly. I mean, the EMP community is a perfect testament to how far a really strong community can take a project. Well, amplify that to many more people and an entire blockchain. I mean, that's very powerful.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, I mean, for those that don't know, what was it? Almost 3 years ago now, maybe even more. When Richard Hart did the original sacrifice for PulseChain, I mean, it was the talk of crypto. He was, the rock star that everybody was interested in and wanted to be a part of. And so once he starts that again, without any, fear of being prosecuted, and we're in the middle of a bull run, which we were when, Pulse was the talk of the town. I think that it's just based on math alone, we will see the price of Spark, and well, PLS and Spark, go up. And again, I mean, we saw that happen even over the last few weeks. That Pulse did an amazing run. It's on a bit of a pullback now, but I think it's the beginning of a lot to come. And we see a lot more people building on Pulse, which is also really bullish. So, all right, and to that point, one of the most bullish things about EMP is that the value is tied to ETH. So again, we're not holding our peg now, but the idea is that we will recover peg fully, and then moving forward, we are, essentially fractionalized Ethereum because of our deep liquidity bond to ETH. Again, that 4,000 to 1 ratio. And we definitely see the same things happening with Spark. So I've been super impressed with the way Spark and PLS are interacting, and again bonded. It's almost when you lay the two charts over each other. They're very, very similar, and to have about $1 million of or more of liquidity, that Spark PLS pair, you will get that same price exposure with Pulse going up, just by having Spark as well. So again, it's really exciting, and that LP bonding is very powerful, especially when the token price just starts going up. Obviously we've seen some sell-offs on Spark, even in the community. Again, people get a little bit jittery, when they see the token price going down. But as soon as the switch is flipped, we see token price go up on top of the price of Pulse going up. You add in more and more utility. And again, people are, I love it because people are saying, and we'll get into this in the next bullet here. But the price of Spark is going down. Yeah, the price of Spark is going down, but if you're in Sparkler, you really don't care because you've been earning over 1% a day in real yield in Sparkler. So it really is all in perspective. And right now is an accumulation phase. Again, not financial advice, but we're using the next few months as an accumulation phase to get Spark out into the hands of holders in a very distributive manner, fair distributed manner. And then once we cut off inflation, and add more utility and start burning more and more Spark, I mean, that is when you really see the gains in terms of price appreciation. But again, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to focus on yield. And I think that is one thing people still are not fully understanding is that Spark is less about the price of the token going up and much more about the yield that you can earn by having Spark inside of Sparkler. So, all right, LA, again, sorry, I got on my high horse a little bit, but anything you want to add about PulseChain before we move into Spark?
No, you said it perfectly.
All right, awesome. So we're almost done here. Again, we may hit the 2-hour mark just on time. But Sparkswap is still continuing to crush it, even though we have seen a pullback on Pulse, as well as Spark. The yields have been phenomenal. So LA, again, I don't want to steal your thunder, but you've been tracking all this data, minute by minute almost. So you want to talk about this incredible yield on Sparkler over the last few days?
Yeah, you know what? I totally dropped the ball today. I didn't set my alarm, so I didn't get the exact figure as of today, but we have consistently been over 1.1% for over 2 weeks straight since the bridge has launched on max stakes inside the Sparkler. So That is insanely impressive. It seems to be staying extremely consistent, especially over the last week. And we're making extremely consistent returns. And just a reminder, that is in half PLS and half Spark. And so it is completely possible to take profit without having to sell your Spark.
Yeah, I love it. And again, even continually DCAing into Sparkler with that Spark. Again, that is the name of the game where you're building positions long term. So if that's not bullish, I don't know what is, LA. And again, I think people, the proof is in the pudding. Even if you were a little bit late to the party, from launch, again, everybody says, well, yeah, everybody in Sparkler that got in early is making money. That is not true. Even people that staked, for maximum stakes, again, that is the secret, is that you do want to be doing maximum stakes, not financial advice, but we've been as clear on that as we can for the 400% share bonus. But even people that were staking in Sparkler, a mere few weeks ago, they have already ROI'd. And so everything from here on out is pure profit that they would have never received had they just sold Spark outright. So again, I don't know how much more clear we can be and have the math to back it up. And over time, people will figure it out. And that will be, again, much more healthy for the price of Spark as we go. And so there are a lot of other factors as well. We're super close to launching the stable token option on the bridge. We're hoping that will, at least double the fees that we've gotten on even the EMP side. We'll have a whole nother arbitrage bot running on that new pair. And again, we haven't even injected the arbitrage bot revenue as well. So there's a ton of things that are producing real yield that will only continue to make Sparkler more and more attractive. And again, not financial advice, but when you do see a dip, it may be a great way to DCA and just literally buy Spark outright to put in the Sparkler. Again, not only can you earn Spark from going into farms, but you could just buy Spark outright and go into Sparkler. So, and we're continuing to raise awareness and adoption. Again, the more that PulseChain grows, the more Sparkswap will grow as well. So we've also burned nearly 3,500 Spark already. That's simply just from some of the dev fee. The majority of it's from battle bets. Again, we've been killing it on that. We'll have a section on the website shortly for all of our partner protocols. If you haven't participated on battle bets yet, please go in the community and ask about it. I know, shout out to Bartertown Ray. He did a live stream last week. I know there's a few other groups that are organizing, playing on battle bets once or twice a week. And it's a great platform. Again, you use Spark to bet on outcomes of a video game. It sounds a lot more nerdy than it is. It's really a lot of fun. So make sure you look at other videos about battle bets for that. But all right, and yeah, again, we've seen a bit of a pullback on the price of PLS. Obviously, that hasn't helped the price of Spark. One of the reasons we do have seen Sparkler on fire as well is there was another protocol that launched this week that had a lot of hype behind it. Unfortunately, again, I love projects that are building. I'm not here to talk shit about anybody, but the economics of this new protocol are not nearly as solid as Spark and Sparkler. So I think it'll be the talk of the town for a while, but people will realize sooner than later that the stability of the yield and Sparkswap is way better over the long run. So and we're continuing to build on our side too, where we've submitted to DEX Screener to be listed as an actual DEX. now that we have our own LP. A lot of our larger whales have exited, which means that yeah, it hurts right now, but over the long run, they're not able to dump that much again, and it's just a great way to have the rest of us, have an opportunity to get a larger part of ownership within Sparkler and Sparkswap at a reduced rate. So, all right, and then finally, when we do launch our stable token offering, we're gonna have a whole nother round of marketing and advertising on the bridge. We've already done it a little bit with the NFTs. Again, any of the AMAs we do, I make sure that we mention the bridge, but we'll have specific AMAs with the stable token option, and the volume and exposure should be massive because again, with having a stable token, bridgeable, we literally cut, the main Ethereum to Pulse bridge at its knees because we're cheaper, we're faster, we're as safe, if not safer, and we get transactions done in literally under a minute, where the main PLS to ETH bridge is taking up to an hour. So it's just a much better product market fit. So yeah, go ahead,
I want
LA.
to give personal testament to that because up until we actually launched the bridge, I had only tested small amounts, like up to 6,000 EMP. But when I went to buy my NFTs this week, I had to use USDC from one of my farms in Sparkswap. So I used our bridge, and I'm not obviously going to tell you how much I bridged, but it was more than 6,000 EMP. And I was just like so impressed. It literally took under 20 seconds. And I thought in my head, if the transaction was a little bit larger, that it was going to take, at least over a minute, but it didn't. It was probably faster than some of the test transactions we did for 1 or 2,000 EMP. I was just blown away. It's funny when you're blown away by something you've already tested dozens and dozens of times,
I love it.
just to see it in action. I mean, like I literally I watched it go from the amount to zero, and then I flipped it over, and I was like, wow, wow, that was so fast. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. LA,
So
you
yeah,
blew your own mind, right? I love it. Yeah.
really, I messaged AJ right away, and I said to him, wow, I mean, I was just resold on all of this all over again.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, and that again, imagine somebody new to our ecosystem doing that in a stable token, getting it, not having to trust EMP, or some token they've never heard of, and getting it immediately. Imagine how fast the word is going to spread within the communities, about literally how, this is the best option out there, and will only get better over time. So, again, I could not be more excited for that. All of you, please continue to spread the word about the bridge. Again, you're helping your own bags, by doing so. We don't have an affiliate commission, nothing like that. So we're not, going after that demographic. But if you're bullish on Spark or you have a position, you're helping your own bags by spreading the word. So, yeah, and to Ella's point, there are a lot of existential factors that go into the speed. Network congestion, the size of the bridge, how many people are using it at one time, the blockchain itself. But again, I mean, we've seen averaging of less than a minute, and even in an absolute worst case scenario, your transaction fails. It's refunded through the bridge itself, whatever origin chain that you started the bridge from, within 1 hour. Again, that's the maximum allotted time. it will refund your EMP or whatever token it is within that hour. The only bummer is that you lose out on gas fees and the bridge fee. But again, that's a very rare scenario. After we've been up and running for what over a week now, and we've only had maybe 3 or 4 of those instances. So I think that's pretty bullish overall. So, and again, even when there was an issue, it was the node that has nothing to do with our code or the platform. It has to do with PulseChain itself. So
And
yeah,
I'm gonna just add something to that.
yeah, absolutely.
So I've mentioned this on AMAs before, but one day I was bridging from BSC to Polygon, and thank God it wasn't much. It was a couple $100, and it didn't go through, and it wasn't arriving, and so I had to write into their customer service, and it ended up taking 24 hours and me writing in about 4 times in order to get my money. But their customer service, all that they could tell me in those 24 hours was it's on the way, and there wasn't anything else provided at all. Last week, I had the privilege of helping, I think, 2 or 3 people who messaged me saying, and it was all at the same time because it was just in about a 1-hour period. We were dealing with this RPC node issue that we were working on improving when we were made aware of it by the first person whose transaction was getting delayed. And literally, as soon as I found out about it and sent it to Jake, our main developer, him and 3 other developers read the message and immediately started getting to the bottom of what was going on, relayed to me any information they had. I relayed it back to the people. 2 out of the 3 people messaged me back being like, oh, never mind, it arrived. And the other one, I walked through it. But like, the difference is so wildly different because one circumstance, there's someone who's sitting there for 24 hours being like, okay, well, all they've told me is it's on the way, but I mean, they said that 7 hours ago, so we'll see if this ever arrives. And the other one is like, yep, there's a whole team of developers working on it right now. I'll keep you up to date with any information I receive as soon as they relay it to me, but they're working on it right now. It's getting solved, and as soon as I have it fixed, I'll let you know. And in the meantime, anything else they share with me, I'll make sure to let you know. Like, I mean, it's pretty hard to feel panicked when you're receiving that in return and immediately. You know what I mean? So it's very different experience here.
Yeah, no, I love it, and that's what makes us different. I mean, what other DeFi protocol with millions of TVL are you going to get one-on-one access to the devs, and the team literally working through with you in real time? That doesn't happen. I mean, I've been in crypto a long time, and I can tell you it doesn't happen, and that's why we are doing things differently at EMP and Spark and L1DEX, and we'll continue to do things differently, and build that trust and build that reputation of being in it, for the right reasons. And so, yeah, I agree, LA. And again, the idea is that the more and more products that we do add, the less issues we even run into because everything becomes even more battle tested. We've already figured out the RPC issue, and are implementing it now so that doesn't ever happen again. And again, as we continue to go, we just continue to improve and make the user experience flawless. And we have that reputation. We've never had an exploit. We've had 100% uptime. And we're gonna continue that. And sad, but 99.9% of all crypto projects cannot make that statement. And I think we lose sight of the importance of that when everybody says when fusion. Again, we have to do our due diligence to uphold that track record. So all right,
Yeah, I
go
just
ahead,
want
Ellie.
to say,
Yeah.
And there's a million people to call out, but I do just have to say a big shout out to Stinky Beans because he is a ninja at somehow being everywhere all at the same time and getting to people at all hours of the day. I swear to God, this guy never sleeps. But he's always a huge help at helping people and making sure their questions get seen immediately, even when on this side of the world we're sleeping. So big shout out to him because he's a huge help with that, and getting people's issues dealt with quicker when we're a small team. So
Yeah, no, I could not agree more. And again, as we continue to scale, like Ella said, shout out to Stinky Beans, shout out to all the admins, Machine Chan, all of our dedicated community managers, and those of you that even the few that we mentioned earlier, as we continue to grow as an organization, that's what we are able to promote within, and have a reward those that have been with us all along, that know our ecosystem in and out, and again can provide that one-on-one help that we all really value within the community. So this will be a big year again for everything. Major growth in terms of our community, major growth in terms of our team and abilities, and major growth within our individual protocols. So all right, awesome. LA, we are at 2 hours, but I'm happy to do some Q&A. Anybody else that has a question, please feel free to type in the live chat. I don't know, LA, did we cover them all, or we have a few? Go ahead.
the Rusik's requesting that we go on for one more hour.
All right, terrific.
Because we have a call in 7 minutes that we have to be on, so we cannot.
For sure.
Okay, so here's one question from Discord. When Eshare farm does go live, and we do know that that's going to be after the stable token option is added to the bridge and that farm goes live. But once the eShare farm does go live, are we able to bridge our eShares directly, or do we have to swap our eShare to EMP and then bridge EMP to PulseChain and swap it back to eShare on Pulse?
Yeah, so great question. Again, we haven't released the exact info yet, but the idea is it will be eShare directly. Again, you won't have to bridge to a separate token and then bridge back. Obviously, we have to have liquidity on both sides, so it may end up being a farm. I had mentioned in other AMAs that we're looking into doing the E-Bond and eShare single pools as well. So we're still a bit up in the air on that front. All the focus has been on the stable pair right now. But to answer the question, you will be able to bridge eShare directly, and then it's yet to be determined on whether it's an eShare farm or a single asset eShare pool. But there will be an option again shortly after the stable token.
Awesome. I don't necessarily see any others unless you do.
Yeah, no, I think we had a lot about Brian and TradeYield and the NFTs, but I think we covered a lot of that in real time, so that was good. We were going to have a bit of a Q&A from MAA. Hopefully he'll be here again. It's a good thing he wasn't today because of how long we went, but hopefully on Thursday he'll be back. He had some really great questions about what happens behind the scenes in terms of how Sparkswap actually operates. With different, now that we have our own LP, we are an actual DEX. So I'm happy to go over all that on the next AMA. But yeah, I think we covered it all today, LA. It was a doozy. Again, we've been getting these 2-hour AMAs, but it's worth it. Anything for our amazing community. So yeah, any final words? Anything else you want to wrap up with? Go ahead.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We always love these calls and look forward to them. We will hopefully have some more updates for you after our call with L1DEX tonight, and we'll continue to keep you posted. If you are going to be getting in on those NFTs, make sure you take action, because as according to this timer on the site, there's 18 hours left. Oh my goodness. So get on it, guys.
Yes, perfect, LA. Yeah, again, please go by the timer. Again, we had said midnight on Halloween Eastern, but it is a little bit sooner than that. So again, don't wait till the very end if you can help it. And if for whatever reason you miss out, there is no guarantees, but you can maybe pick some NFTs up off the marketplace and get essentially that 60% APR anyway within the first few days. So, all right, and yeah, amazing show today. Again, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I jumped right in at the beginning and forgot to say that, but please, again, everybody leave a comment on the video and smash the like button. That really helps with the outreach and algorithm of YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it. So we'll see you all again next, or on Thursday rather. We come to you every Monday and Thursday at 6:45 p.m. Eastern. We have a bunch more this week as well in terms of updates and other AMAs on other channels. So that's exciting. We continue to drive forward, and the AMA train continues. So choo choo. So all right, everybody. Much love. There you go. Thank you, LA. Yeah, we got a choo choo. All right. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for being here. Much love, especially on the longer AMAs. And we will see you soon. Good night. Good day. See you on Thursday.